Here on a Thursday night. Chris Hall with you from UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. We thought we'd come in here and talk a little bit about University of Georgia football and more. It's that time of the year where you're kind of counting down the days to the kickoff of the first game. Of course, that will be against Oregon in Mercedes-Benz on September 3rd. 3:30 kickoff, and we're about 60 some odd days away from the beginning of the 2022 college football season. Pretty exciting times. The big news right now concerning the University of Georgia, obviously, is with recruiting. A lot of recruiting news coming out for the 2023 and even the 2024 classes, recruiting classes for the University of Georgia. The other, I guess, the big story among college football in general is all of this apparent realignment that's going to happen with the conferences. You have, UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten, and you've got other news about possible realignments, and more realignment, more teams coming into the SEC and the Pac 12 and the Big Ten. We'll be talking about some of that stuff tonight, but it's good to have you with us tonight. I don't, I wherever you live, we live in South Georgia, and it is hot. It is hot in South Georgia. I mean, today was like the actual temperature was somewhere around 98 degrees, and then you add in the heat index, the feels like temperature was well over 105 today in South Georgia. So I got our guys together and I said, look, we're going to do a show tonight. Let's get out by the deck and get out by the swimming pool. Let's set up our stuff there and let's do our show from there, just to give a little cool feeling not only to ourselves but also to those who might be tuning in. So we're out by the deck tonight, and we're doing our dog talk from the deck. So if I happen to just stop and run and jump in the pool back there for a little cooling off, just, forgive me, but it is hot in South Georgia. And I know not only in South Georgia, but over a good swath of the country, it is hot indeed. And of course, that's the way it is. It is July, by the way. And so we're counting down the days to the kickoff for the University of Georgia. And let me tell you, UGA Football News, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We have our beautiful website, ugafbnews.com, and we invite you to check in with all of that, and you can get the latest in what is happening with the University of Georgia. We focus not only on the football team, but also on all sports having to do with the University of Georgia, which is kind of cool. And we keep you up to date on what's happening with the basketball teams and the baseball team, track, golf, and various things like that. We have some good podcasts coming up, and future podcasts. We'll have a guy who played for the University of Georgia in 1980. He was on the team that won the national championship in 1980, and he was there in Indianapolis when Georgia won the national championship back in Indianapolis, and won for the 2021 national championship. So we'll be interviewing him in just a few days, and we'll be sharing that podcast with you as well. Also, we're anticipating any time getting a confirmation to have David Pollock on our podcast as well, and of course David Pollock, College Football Hall of Famer, great All American for the University of Georgia. Works with ESPN on the SEC network. David, a great dog, and we're really excited about having him on a future podcast as well. So we hope everything is going well for you and your family wherever you might be. Now, if you have a comment or a question about UGA football news or UGA football, just jump in there and share that comment or that question with us, and we'll do our very best to either talk about what you want to talk about or answer a question that you might have. So we have a stack of stuff. It's not really a large stack of stuff tonight, but it is some interesting things we thought we would come in here and share with you a little bit. We love Coach Mark Richt. Coach Rick, obviously coaching at the University of Georgia, great, tremendous record at the University of Georgia. Left Georgia, went to Miami for a few seasons coaching the Miami Hurricanes, which is his alma mater. And then Coach Rick leaving coaching and coming back then to Athens. And he's currently with the ACC network. He is an analyst for the ACC network. And of course, he's dealing with some health issues as well, Parkinson's disease, but we love Coach Mark Rick. He's a great guy. Hey, Trip Block, how you doing, my man? It's good to have you with us tonight. One of our favorites here, Trip Block, joining us on our program tonight. Well, we got some news today. Coach Mark Rick is not through coaching yet. Coach Rick is going to be a head coach at something called the Polynesian Bowl, which is kind of interesting. It will be played in Hawaii coming up. Let's see, when will this be? January 20th of 2023, which is obviously quite a ways away. But what this game is, the Polynesian Bowl features 100 high school senior football prospects. And so it's kind of like one of these college all-star games, but it's a high school all-star game, and it's called the Polynesian Bowl, and it's played in Honolulu, Hawaii. And Coach Rick is going to be the coach of one of the teams. They have two teams. You know, the high school guys will be divided up into two teams. One of the teams will be coached by former NFL coach Romeo Crennel. He is going to coach Team Mountain, okay? And Coach Rick is going to be coaching Team Ocean. This is, it's quite a ways away. It's in the next year. The game will be broadcast live on the NFL Network. Again, that's January 20th, 2023, 9 p.m. from Honolulu. But Coach Rick has been named the head coach for one of the teams in that. So it'll be cool. It'd be kind of cool to see Coach Rick on the sideline once again and doing his thing on the sidelines, and that'll be a neat thing. Some other news notes from the University of Georgia from college football. Deion Sanders, of course, the head football coach at Jackson State in Mississippi, has hired a staffer away from the University of Georgia. Deion Sanders hired I think it was Wednesday, Maurice Sims from the University of Georgia. For the past 2 years, Sims was the assistant strength coach at Georgia, serving under Scott Sinclair. And so Maurice Sims, who has served on the staff of the University of Georgia, will be going to join Deion Sanders at Jackson State University. Sims, a very popular guy on the staff of the University of Georgia, very enthusiastic, and very popular with the players and with the rest of the staff. Sims has also been on the staff at North Carolina, Army, Indiana, North Carolina A&T, and Bethune-Cookman, among other places. And so we wish Maurice Sims from the University of Georgia, staff from the University of Georgia, we wish him the best of luck as he joins with Deion Sanders. Got to be a trip to have Deion Sanders as your boss and as the head coach of the college team that you're coaching. We love Deion Sanders. Of course, he has a connection with Georgia where we are in Georgia. Deion playing professional football for the Atlanta Falcons for many years and also playing professional baseball for the Atlanta Braves. And so Deion, quite a character and doing, a great job at Jackson State, making a lot of ripples when it comes to recruiting as well. So congratulations to Maurice Sims joining the staff of Deion Sanders at Jackson State. Now, as far as recruiting is concerned, a couple of big recruits for the 2024 class. These are rising juniors, rather. But Georgia picked up two guys that will be in the 2024 class, not the 2023, which is the next recruiting class, but the 2024 class. And they actually picked up two guys who play for a school near where we are, where our studios are. The two players that play for Colquitt County High School in Moultrie, Georgia. Great tradition, high school football tradition at Colquitt County High School. Then Georgia picked up two guys, two commitments from Colquitt County that will be in the 2024 class. One of them is a wide receiver by the name of Nye Carr, N-Y, that's his first name, Carr, C-A-R-R, his last name. He is, according to 247 Sports, he's a top 100 player in the country. He is, according to 247 Sports, he is the 66th best player nationally. He's the 10th best wide receiver in the 2024 class, and he's also the 14th best player in Georgia, according to 247 Sports for the 2024 class. And he made his commitment to the University of Georgia. He's pretty solid with that. He says Georgia is his dream school. That's where he wants to play college football. And so Nye Carr, N-Y, that's his first name, Carr, C-A-R-R, his last name, has made a commitment to play for the University of Georgia. This is the 2024 class. Now, Georgia did have a player previous to Nye Carr in the 2024 class, but he decommitted and committed actually somewhere else. So Nye Carr technically is the first player in the 2024 class for the University of Georgia, but that's not all. Five-star prospect Landon Thomas, the number one tight end in the class of 2024, also from Colquitt County High School in Moultrie, Georgia, made his commitment known to the University of Georgia today. He's the number one tight end in the class of 2024. So, and by the way, we have some news about this is kind of mind boggling. Now, this is really amazing. This is really amazing. Georgia has more five-star rated recruits on the roster or committed solely at the tight end position. Georgia has 6 5-star rated recruits in the tight end room. Georgia has more in the tight end position than all but 10 other college football programs have on their entire roster, regardless of position. So, but for all of 10 schools, 10 college football programs, Georgia has more 5-star tight end recruits on their roster than these other schools have 5-star recruits that are committed in any position. Quite an amazing thing. But anyway, Landon Thomas, the number one tight end in the class of 2024, is committed to the University of Georgia. He's 6'4". He had offers from 36 schools, including Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Hey, Chris Rayburn from Gainesville, Georgia. Beautiful Gainesville, Georgia. Know it quite well. Good to have you with us tonight. So Georgia picked up some pretty highly touted recruits for the 2024 class. And we'll talk about where Georgia stands with the 2023 class in just a few moments as we do our report tonight. Good to have you with us tonight, all of you. And we're out by the pool tonight. And, you know, it's a refreshing scene, especially in the heat of South Georgia and North Georgia as well. I know Chris up in Gainesville, Georgia. He's had a hot day today as well. Better watch those chickens. Keep those chickens nice and cool. Big, poultry raising area in Gainesville, Georgia. So here's a thing that's going on in college football now, and it's kind of overshadowing a lot of other news going on in college football. So you might have heard this. The University of Southern California and UCLA, long stalwarts in the Pac-12, a part of that of the Pac-12 conference. I mean, USC and UCLA, when I was a kid, I used to watch USC and UCLA play each other. I remember a guy for UCLA called Gary Beeben. He was a great quarterback. I mean, yeah, this was, back in the day, USC, UCLA, long, just foundational programs in the Pac 12. Well, this week they made the announcement that USC and UCLA, they're leaving the Pac 12 to join the Big Ten in a conference realignment. So, and this obviously, well, I say obviously, apparently is a response to the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 to join the SEC. And so now you got all of these conferences having this realignment and getting teams from other places to, to make a commitment to come into their conference. So USC and UCLA now leaving the Pac 12 to go to the Big Ten, and it's going to happen pretty quickly. Apparently, the deal's in place, and USC and UCLA can be in the Big Ten as early as 2024, a couple of years. It takes time with scheduling, and they have to reschedule, and they have to do different things to make it possible for them to come in to the Big Ten. But you got USC and UCLA leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten. Now you've got Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 to come into the SEC. And the scuttlebutt is, the hot topics that are being discussed is that these are not the last teams that are going to come out of their present conferences to go into other conferences. For instance, Jim Donnan, former head coach at the University of Georgia, made a prediction today. Coach Donnan said this. He says he believes that Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina are going to eventually wind up in the SEC. And that the ACC basically, now those teams are currently in the ACC, but the ACC, basically, according to Jim Donnan and others who have been talking about this topic, the ACC is just kind of going to disappear, apparently. Yeah. Now, this may happen, it may not happen. Who knows? May happen, may not happen. But I saw one report that the Big Ten could take North Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Syracuse, Boston College, and Pittsburgh. And then the SEC would take Clemson, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Miami, and North Carolina State. Then you have Georgia Tech and Wake Forest sitting out there saying, hey, what about us? Well, does anybody want us? And then you got Louisville, who is a part of the ACC. They could go to the Big 12. Now, this stuff can happen. It may not happen. But one thing we do know for sure is that USC and UCLA are leaving the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, and that's that kind of shook things up in college football tremendously, and really, really kind of it was jarring news when they saw that when we heard that USC and UCLA. So big things going on in the major conferences. And so you have these super conferences, and eventually, the SEC will have 16 teams in the conference. If they, bring in more teams, obviously that number will grow. Also, the Big 12 is sitting out there, and there was a report today. Don't know really how accurate this is, but the Big 12 is in apparent serious talks with 6 Pac 12 members to join the Big 12. So apparently you could have the ACC disappearing and being absorbed into other conferences, and you could have the Big 12, kind of disappearing as well. The Big 12, apparently, according to this report from The Atlantic, which is a pretty reliable source, the Big 12 is in serious discussions with Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Oregon, Utah, and Washington for those schools to come into the Big 12. So, since the pandemic, college football has changed tremendously. everything was kind of like smooth sailing. It was what it was in college football. And then all of a sudden you have the pandemic come in and that opened up, I guess, a Pandora's box of things that have really accelerated in college football to change the landscape of college football. Because out of the pandemic, you got, the portal where kids could just transfer between programs without having to sit out a year. And then you have NIL deals, and then that kind of was spurred on by the atmosphere of the pandemic in college football. And now you got all of this realignment going on, and the reason you have the realignment going on is just I was reading a report today. The reason you have this going on is it's just money. It is a tremendous amount of money that these schools doing this moving around and whatever, they can gross, a lot more revenue if they're changing these conferences and moving out of this conference to that conference. That was one of the great motivations. Well, it was the motivation, I suppose, for USC and UCLA to come out of the Pac-12 to go into the Big Ten. So there's a lot of money involved, and that's the bottom line. And that really was the bottom line for Texas and Oklahoma. Just, it's a big business. College football is a big business, and you want to go where the money is. And so there you go. But we're going to keep our eye on that, and we'll keep you kind of up to date on what's happening with all of that. Now, there also is a tremendous amount of discussion about, well, all of this is happening. What about Notre Dame? Notre Dame has been an independent as far as football is concerned forever. Notre Dame, I don't know if they've ever been in a conference as far as football is concerned. Now they were in the Big East as far as basketball and other sports were concerned. Then they moved to the ACC, but not in football. They remain independent in football, and of course, Notre Dame has its own contract with NBC to telecast its home games, and that generates a lot of money. So the question is now, the big thing is now, what about Notre Dame? Is Notre Dame going to remain an independent, or is Notre Dame going to, say, okay, we need to be in a conference? Again, the motivation, a lot of it is going to be money. Now at Notre Dame, you got a tremendous amount of tradition. And that's going to be the thing that, there's a lot of decisions that will have to be made. And of course, you see the speculation. Well, Notre Dame is going to go to the Big Ten. And the Big Ten has been courting Notre Dame forever. And obviously, being in Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, it's in Big Ten country. But then, of course, you've heard other reports. Well, the SEC has made overtures to Notre Dame. So things are just really, really different in college football these days, and we'll have to keep our eye on all of this and what's going on in college football. But one thing is certain and sure, and this is certain and sure: Georgia is the reigning national champions. They beat Alabama 33-18, and they won the national championship. So there you go. That thing is certain and sure. And we're counting down the days. I think we're around 60 days now, 2 months until kickoff for the college football season. And then Georgia and Oregon, of course, in the big Chick-fil-A game on Labor Day weekend on that Saturday. And so we're getting closer and ever so closer to college football coming back. And of course, the NFL. But next month they'll get into their training camps, and you'll have the first NFL game in August, which is next month. How about that? So, and you'll have the first college game, right? Yeah, first college game coming up. The opening weekend is the last weekend of August. So we are there. We are getting ever so closer to the start of the 2022 college football season. Now, what about recruiting? We've been talking about recruiting. What about the 2023 class? Now, this is the next recruiting class. Okay. And where do we stand? Georgia has picked up a lot of good recruits lately, according to 247sports.com. I don't know if this has been updated with the commitment of Nikar and the other kid, Landon Thomas, to the University of Georgia. I get a suspicion that it's probably not. But here's the rankings for the 2023 rankings for the class of recruiting classes for 2023, according to 247sports.com. Notre Dame, number one, has the number one class in 2023 at the moment. Ohio State is second. Texas is third. And a large part of that is Arch Manning and the commitment of Arch Manning to the University of Texas. Clemson. Clemson now has picked up some, pretty big recruits, a lot of them coming out of the University of Georgia, or not out of the University of Georgia, but out of the state of Georgia. So Clemson is number four. They have the number four recruiting class in 2023. Penn State, number five. Arkansas, number six. Arkansas having, a pretty good recruiting class setting up in 2023. Seven is Tennessee. Tennessee picked up a couple of big recruits here in the last few days. Georgia has the number eight class at the moment for 2023. Alabama, number nine, and then Baylor, number 10. So you got Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, Penn State, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and Baylor. Now, those, that really means nothing. But it kind of gives you an idea of what schools, how the schools are doing, and what schools are doing really good as far as recruiting is for 2023. So you have Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas, Clemson, Penn State, Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and Baylor coming in there. So there you go. All right. Well, not a whole lot of news to talk about tonight as far as Dawg Talk is concerned, and we have a Thunder Boomer. Did you see that one? Yeah, we have we have a Thunder Boomer, and we're out by the pool, which may not be the best place to be, right? When a Thunder Boomer is coming around. But anyway, we thought we'd jump in here and just share with you some of the news that we have on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll be doing these things a little more frequently as we get closer and closer to the opening of the college football season, and we cannot wait. Good to have you with us tonight. We're so happy that you've come along and joined us. Join us again next time here on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram.